Welcome back, you guys. These videos, we're doing many more of them, and as a result, they're a little bit more raw. They're kind of the one-take thing. Some people have said that they prefer it because they kind of get the straight deal, even when I fumble for words, for example, I just keep rolling. So bear with me. We're doing a lot of content. We're kicking it out as fast as possible. Today's show is called Why You Do Not Want a Body Lift. We're going to talk about that. There are three kinds of lifts that you guys want to know about. This is just an overview in case you're considering lifting your vehicle. So let's break down just the types. We'll run through them in a little bit of detail. Then I'll tell you exactly what I have on my vehicle and why I chose to go that way. Now, there are suspension lifts, there are body lifts, and there are hybrid combo suspension body lifts. Now, here's the deal. This is an overland channel. My vehicle is a utility vehicle. It is not a show pony. What do I mean by that? I'm not concerned with ride height for ride height's sake, and I'm not concerned with tire size for tire size sake. My vehicle is lifted as much as it needs to for ground clearance, articulation, and off-road suspension performance. I want to get to that alpine lake. I want to leave the crowds behind. I want to sit in my chair next to a year-round stream in solace in the great outdoors with my family. And this vehicle is designed to get me there. I'm not doing it to roll down the street on huge tires. I just have what I need. Now, another thing to consider is that I'm only lifting the vehicle as much as I need to, because when you lift the vehicle, you raise the center of gravity with a suspension lift. So you don't want to do that too much because you'll get more body roll in last minute maneuvers. If you have to jerk the steering wheel, you're going to get more body roll. So it does impact the on-road stability of the vehicle. I'm only lifting it as much as I need to. Now, don't take this as bashing. No, kind of take this as bashing body lifts. But let me temper that a little bit. If ride height and tire size is the goal, then a body lift is the right way to go because it's less expensive. You're not changing the suspension geometry. The other thing is you're not raising the center of gravity as much. Sure, the body's getting higher, but the body's kind of light compared to the engine, right? And so with a body lift, your center of gravity is staying closer to factory specifications. So if tire size and ride height is the goal, then body lift is for you. Again, I say this is an overland channel, and that's a utility vehicle, not a show pony, etc. And that's why I'm saying you don't want a body lift. We just want the performance aspects of the suspension lift. Now, what's the hybrid? Why would you do a hybrid? Well, if you are concerned with the manners off-road, if you do want some ground clearance and you do want some articulation, but you are concerned with ride height and tire size and you want 5 inches of lift altogether, you can get that with a combo for a reasonable sum of money. To do a 5-inch suspension lift is going to be very expensive. You're changing more suspension geometry. You have to get the pinion angles right, your caster, your camber. There's more parts involved and there's more installation involved. And those kits for suspension lifts are very expensive. If you go with a hybrid, you get a 2.5-inch suspension lift and a 2 to 3-inch body lift. You'll still have money left over for tires because it's not going to be as expensive. So as a complete package with a lot of body lift, you can go with a hybrid and you'll have some performance off-road. So that might be the right solution for you. I have a suspension lift. It is a 2.5-inch Old Man Emu heavy lift with a 1-inch spacer on the back springs. It is just as much as I need to fit the 315 75R16 BFGoodrich mud terrain tires on without any rubbing under any sort of articulation. That's the minimum that I need for those tires on this vehicle. I don't want to raise the vehicle any more than that because, as I said, I'm going to affect performance and body roll. So that's where it stands. I also mentioned a couple of other things. Heavy, heavy. What that means is the spring rate on the back of the vehicle is extremely heavy by most standards. I went from a medium rate spring to a heavy rate spring to a heavy, heavy rate spring. Why? Because of my expedition weight. When I am fully loaded, I am heavy, and I want those heavy springs to be able to handle the load. And under that load, it handles very well. When it's unloaded, it doesn't handle as well, and that's the trade-off. If I hit a bump when I'm unloaded, I'll be bouncing for about a quarter mile. That's the trade-off. I'm not heavily loaded down, and the shocks don't dampen that as much as needed. Now, that means I'm under-shocked, and I need to upgrade my shocks in order to handle the heavy rate spring and the expedition weight and dampen it enough when I do hit those bumps. I'm just going to tell you guys, and you'll find this out when you start pricing out suspension. Shocks go, this is the cost curve on shocks. Standard, good, really good, excellent, superior. The cost just rockets right up as you go towards that superior category. But they're going to do what you need it to do as an overlander. Now, I'm not going to go through all the makes and manufacturers, and you guys know that these videos are not sponsored by anybody. I'm just telling you from experience. So I'm not going to sit here and do a compare and contrast of different manufacturers, but King is the only shock that
130 with my Paulus.
Okay. When is that?
It's 132.
I have to go do a call. I'll be right back. I'm not going to sit here and leave the camera rolling while I go on the call. I'll turn the camera off. I'll be back. We're not quite done. We still gotta look at parts. Okay, where were we? Hey, later that day, the sun came out. Awesome. I think we were talking about King suspension. That's probably what I'll go with. Throughout the community, haven't heard of a complaint or a failure. And even if your suspension company, your manufacturer that you've picked, even if they have a no questions asked replacement policy, that really doesn't do you any good if you're miles and miles off grid. It takes time. It's nice that they do that, but you really don't want a failure in the first place. Okay, specifically, what parts are on my suspension lift? And then that's a wrap. Okay, on my suspension lift, it's very straightforward. It's only 2.5 inches, so there's not a lot of extra parts that are required to get the suspension geometry correct. That is 4 springs, 4 shocks, a couple of offset blocks for the sway bar, because the suspension is higher, so I've dropped the ends of the sway bar down. And then a couple of caster bushings that adjust the caster of the suspension geometry, and that's to keep the vehicle tracking straight when you're going down the road. Without that caster correction, it's just a little bit twitchy, which is manageable, but it's not ideal. You get that caster correction, and then it performs more like the factory spec. Okay, that's it. Those were the 3 types: suspension lift, body lift, hybrid. And for me, of course, I want a suspension lift because I'm only lifting the vehicle as much as I absolutely have to get the performance that I need. And a note, just this very simple cross-axle example that I have behind me is enough to stop a vehicle with a body lift in its tracks when they get into this very simple situation. That's it for today, you guys. Thank you for tuning in. Thanks for listening. I hope that you guys are having a good time. We enjoy the likes, and if you want to hang out with us, you can go on over to the Overland Bound forums at overlandbound.com/forums, and I'll chat with you over there. All right, you guys, see you tomorrow. Excuse me, let me go. Hey, question.
Yes.
So in the when we're on the trail and we're traveling around, what is your least favorite part of the on the trail?
Oh my God. Hi, YouTube. What's my least
when we're on the
favorite
trail
part?
No.
Did you already like have a hypothesis as to what my answer was going to be?
No.
Okay. Least favorite
It'll be
part.
a surprise.
Least favorite part of being on the trail is the bump. Oh, it's more than that. No, it's faster. It's full on like whack. Yes. Awesome. No, there's a twerk. When you bottom out the truck, it's because you're going too fast.
I never go too fast.
That is so not. I never bottom out the truck.
As slow as possible, as fast as necessary.
I will go very slow. And when it hits, it goes. Not true.
Slow as possible, fast as necessary.
You got some thunks.
So
some thunks.
So it's when the truck goes like that.
So the junk and thunks. I don't even know what that means.